Okay, so this is going to be a quick and easy one, but it's something I found very important to tweak in your Nuke installation. And it's also something I just don't understand why the Foundry is still shipping Nuke this way. And what I'm talking about is the default value of the grain node. And let me show you what I mean. So I'll just make a new grain node and connect a constant so that we can apply some grain to it. And to see something, we'll just put this in the gray color, and we'll make sure to change the apply only through alpha to, we'll uncheck this since our constant has no alpha. So if we take a look at the default seed value here, and we zoom a bit on our grain structure here. So I'll just select about 50 frame and play back this grain pattern. So I don't know if you can see on the screen recording, but clearly on my screen what I see is I have kind of a rainy pattern in the grain. So it's something very noticeable, and you really feel that you have your grain slipping in your image. And that's something that no matter the seed that you'll select in the grain node, you will feel this slipping pattern in your grain. So let's say that I change the default seed here to something like 100. Yeah, we'll have a new grain pattern, but as soon as we play the clip, you see that we feel that the grain is slipping in the image. And that's something that I tell you, if you don't change this, that's something I will notice right away if you apply this type of grain in your image. So that's, like I was saying, I just don't understand why the grain node is still doing that by default in Nuke. So what I found to avoid this kind of pattern is to make the seed change every frame. So what I do to do that is I put a simple expression here to randomize the seed. So to apply an expression in the seed here, we'll just press the equal key so that we have our expression box here. And what I'll do is I want to have a random number at every frame. And so what I'll use is the random parameter, and what will pass is the frame. So now at every frame, this random value will be returning something between 0 and 1. But since the seed is expecting integer, we'll make sure that we multiply this random value by a huge number. So let's say we'll multiply this by, let's say, something like that. So now if we press OK and check what this expression is giving in the scene now here, you see that at every frame we have a new number for the seed. So now if we play back our grain here, since the seed is changing so much from frame to frame, we're losing that slipping pattern, and we have a nice flowing grain that has no repeating structure from frame to frame. So let's compare what this expression is giving compared to the default value. So I just press stop here, duplicate the grain node, and I'll put back the default value. So I'll kill the animation and put back the default seed, which is, I think, 132. So now if we cache this and press play and compare this to the default grain, so that's the default grain, and you see that it has a lot of strawberry effect and slipping grain. And now if I switch to our new random expression, you see that we have a nice grain that is not repeating pattern. So what I'll do now is go in my Python editor and add a line to make this as a default value for all my grain node. Okay, so here I am in my Python editor. So feel free to use any type of text editor if you want. This will be just fine. So the important thing is that you need to go in your Nuke folder that lives inside your own folder on your hard drive. So in this .nuke folder, if you don't already have a file named menu.py, just make a new text file and name it menu.py. So inside this file, you'll be able to put various bits of code that you can integrate inside Nuke. So for now, we'll use it to add our nub default. So the first thing we'll write is import Nuke, which will import the Nuke module. And then the line we need to add is the nuke.nub default. And we need to pass two arguments. So the first one is going to be the node class, followed by the nub that we want to set a default value. So the node class is grain2, and then we need to put dot and the parameter, which is the seed. Then, as the second parameter, we'll pass another string, and this is where we'll put our expression that we want as a default value. So we'll type random, and between parentheses, we'll pass frame, and then we'll multiply this by a huge number so that we make sure that we have a large C number. So we'll multiply this by, let's say, some big number like that. So now, if everything is fine, when we'll launch a new Nuke instance, our default value for each grain node that we'll be creating will be this expression. So let's go back in Nuke to see if everything is working. Okay, so back in Nuke, we'll make a new grain node. And sure enough, we see that inside our scene now here, we have now our random seed here. And if we click on the equal key, we see that we have our expression as the default value. So use this expression if you want a grain node that will generate a grain pattern without the rainy slipping effect that the default grain is giving you.